Hi, welcome to KansasFisherman.com and another fishing tip for you. You know, if you've ever fished with spinning equipment before, I guarantee you, you've had that dreaded backlash, or bird's nest as we call it, where that line loops and rolls off of your line and just gets to be such a mess that, you know, at times it's so bad you just have to cut off all your line and start over again, right? I want to help you today to avoid that kind of problem. Now, the same rules that we're going to talk about as far as avoiding line twist here also apply to spin casting equipment, such as, you know, the push button type, where maybe we're talking about like a Zebco 33, a closed face spinning reel, okay? Same rules apply. Number one, most critical thing you can do of all is how you put your line on. Now, we have a separate video on the website showing you how to do that, so we're not going to cover it here. But absolutely critical. If you put the line on wrong to start with, there's just nothing you're going to be able to do. It's just going to forever be a mess, and you're going to end up having to pull it all off. So assuming you put your line on correctly, let me give you some fishing tips that'll help you keep line twist out of your line. Number one, when you cast and that lure hits the water, in the perfect scenario, just before it hits the water, you want to flip the bail. Why is that? Because as that lure is going out and just before it hits the water, it is still tight. And with it being tight, I can manually flip that bail. Now, if I flip that bail like most people do with the handle, watch what happens. Watch this twist, watch the line bail twist around the reel. Boom, see that before it finally clicked over? I've just put a half to a full twist in that line every single time that I close that bail with the handle. Never, under any circumstances, use the handle to close the bail. Always do it manually. The best way is just before it hits the water, reach up, click it over while the line is nice and tight. Second best way is after the lure hits the water, is to still do it manually, but raise your rod up like this, putting pressure on this line to make sure it's tight, and click it over, okay? So either do it just before it hits the water, or after it hits the water, raise your rod tip, click it over like that, maintaining a tight line. Under no circumstances use the handle, because every time you do, you're putting line twist into that line, and sooner or later you're going to get a bird's nest as a result of it. Now, the other tip is this: when you set your drag, because a lot of times fishing with spinning equipment, you know, we're using lighter lines, 6, 8, 10-pound test line, and so we're going to have a drag set that's going to help us fight that fish. If you're fighting a fish and you're using a spinning outfit, in this case a 5.2 to 1 gear ratio, here's what that means. As I'm fighting that fish, if he's pulling drag, every time I crank that reel one turn, I've added 5 twists to that line. All right, let me do that again. If I'm fighting a fish that's pulling line off on the drag, while he's pulling that line off on the drag, if I'm fighting him by reeling like this, every time I've made one turn of the handle, I've added 5 full twists to that line. If I do it twice while he's pulling line and I'm fighting him with the drag, I've added 10 twists to that line. Doesn't take very long to realize what's going to happen here. If I keep doing that, I'm just adding 5, 5, 5, 5 every single time. Same is true with the spin cast outfit as well. I've got a Zebco 33, for example. I'm fighting this fish, you know, and the line's pulling out, and I'm fighting that drag, and I'm turning that. Well, whatever gear ratio that reel is, if it's 4 or 5 or 6 to 1, I'm adding 4, 5, or 6 twists every single time I make one full turn of that handle. Don't ever fight the fish with a drag while you're turning the reel at the same time. One other tip is this: add some type of line conditioner to your fishing line. Now, this is called Reel Magic. It's made by Blakemore. I don't care which one you use. This just happened to catch this one on sale. But I use it in a couple of different ways. I use it as I put the line on, including on my bait casting outfit. I'll put on about 30 or 40 yards of line. I'll spray it in a couple of places around the spool. Reel in another 30, 40 yards of line, spray it again a couple of places until it's all filled up. If I'm going fishing tomorrow, I'll come in the night before and I'll spray a couple of places around the line as well and let it set and soak overnight, particularly with a spinning reel. What's going to happen with both bait casting and spinning, you're going to get a lot more distance. You're going to be amazed what this kind of stuff will do for your fishing line. And by the way, I'm talking about fluorocarbon as well. as I am talking about monofilament, and of course you can also use it on braid as well. It reduces memory when it comes to monofilament and when it comes to fluorocarbon. It reduces the memory, and so the line's been on there a while, it's kind of set itself. You spray this on there, it helps eliminate that. Finally, the last tip I would give you is this. If in fact you get a bird's nest, and if you happen to be fishing in a boat, okay, the way you can eliminate a lot of that is get the line off, peel off as the boat is moving, peel off, 50, 60 yards of line, get it all out in the water, and then hold your rod tip down low. And as that boat's moving through the water, the pressure from the water will make that line go out, and with no lure on the end of it, and it'll make it really nice and tight. In fact, it'll bend your rod tip actually. And you just hold it like that, and you troll like that for 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll take a lot of that line twist right off the end of your line. Then when you reel it back in, be sure to get your line between your fingers so you can get it really good and tight as you put it back on, and you'll actually see it spool, the twist kind of spooling off the end of the line as you do that. That'll save the day for you many, many, many times, okay? So hopefully that tip will help you as well. So don't just avoid this just because of the bird nest kind of problem. Use the tips that we've given you here, and you'll avoid 98% of that. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.